Hi, English community. This is Tim for Fanteam. Welcome to the preview for Game Week 30 for the English Premier League. It's monster time, and I would say let's go. Let's start. Leeds versus Sheffield is our first game, and regarding all positions, Patrick Bamford is the most expensive player. It's a little suspicious. He's only the second most likely player to score. He has a scoring chance of 46%. Which is not that bad, but for his price, it's still a lot to ask. If you choose to play him, you could make him your captain as well, because you will probably need more than one goal of him. Obviously, he will be fine with one goal, but for that amount which you pay, he's pretty pricey. Leeds has a chance of, let me look up, 64% to win, which is huge. Huge. The highest favorite on the whole slate they are. Even before City, which is quite an achievement. If you choose to play Bamford, I think you definitely should correlate him. The most likely player to do so is Rafinha. He links up pretty well with Bamford, and they are both, have good upside, scoring chances. Obviously, you can choose to go with Jack Harrison as well. If you do so, you will probably need, I would say, at least three goals, probably even better 4 goals. Leeds have a over 30% chance of achieving 3 goals or more, which is pretty neat. And obviously, you don't have to do that as well, but you can choose to go to the defense side, where you can choose Stuart Dallas, who has decent scoring odds, and he has clean sheet chances of 45%. Obviously, every Leeds defender has those chances, but Dallas has upside as well. And if he manages a clean sheet plus a scorer, let it be an assist, he is at 10 points. And if he even scores a goal, he can be to 12 to 13 points, depending if you play other Leeds defenders with him. So he could be a fine captain choice as well, I think. And if you choose him, I definitely would recommend going away from Patrick Bamford, because it's unlikely Dallas scores a goal and an assist and a clean sheet, and Patrick Bamford scores at least 2 goals. I would rather than, because you're already dependent on the clean sheet of Leeds, you should go to a second Leeds defender or goalkeeper. Obviously, you can choose Melissier for 10 million. But I would go another route, and I would take Struijk. Struijk links pretty well up with Rafinha, and they are a nice combination. And if Leeds manages to play to 0, even if Dallas has no scorer at all, he will receive 7 points if they win. And if it will be 0-0, he will still receive 6 points, which is not too bad. Obviously, your chances of winning the whole thing then go under, but I think it's a pretty well chosen player to do so, because not many players will choose him as a captain. And this stack looks pretty neat to me. If you choose to go to Sheffield, which is obviously another option you have, they only have 15% clean sheet, but they will come with much lower ownership as well. I think the best player to do so right now should be Bogle, but we're not even sure if he will be starting. If Bogle's not starting, you should choose Baldock, I guess. And if you go for such an underdog team as Sheffield, and you will be dependent on their clean sheet, you should definitely choose the goalkeeper, because he has multiple upside of having saves and generating points. So if I would go for the Ramsdale-Bogle combination, probably choose John Fleck as a midfielder to get the extra point as a clean sheet here as well. And I would obviously save a lot of budget, because just spending 15 million for 3 players is pretty nice, and leave me options for the later plays and for the latest games that will be played. Next game will be Leicester against City. City is the second most favorite on the slate, but obviously we have the problem with City that we don't know who will start. So Pep's playing probably roulette again with us. And in the midfield position, I think the best value should be Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez is just 11.9, and he has decent clean sheet chances for an extra point, which is at 45%. So if you choose to link him to Joao Cancelo, he has 45% clean sheet and decent upside as well. This could be a nice combination. And then you can choose, for example, Kevin De Bruyne or Raheem Sterling. I don't want to go for Gündogan because I don't think he's worth the money he costs because of Kevin De Bruyne being back, and his role is just a lot less likely to score with Kevin De Bruyne in. So if we would knew Kevin De Bruyne won't start, then I would be fine with Gündogan, but obviously we don't know. So the most likely stack I would play in this game would be KDB, Mahrez, and Cancelao if I go for a clean sheet. But I think just a double stack of City midfielders is just viable as well. So yeah, that would be my choice here, I guess. On the other side, Leicester has 16% clean sheet chances, which makes me not going there in defense. And we have still the problem that Harvey Barnes is out. We expect James Maddison to be in, even if he's right here. He's a nice value, but against City, he's a player who's dependent on the ball, and I don't think I want to go this route. If I would go a route, I would choose probably Kelly Iheanacho or Jamie Wardy. Wardy, obviously, because he has penalties and he's a very good one-off value. If I talk of one-off value, I mean players who function without their team having a good game. Wardy can make 2 goals without an assist and without anything. He's taking penalties. So even if Leicester loses 1-3, he still can score a goal and be worth his price. On the other hand, Iheanacho, it's a revenge game for him. He played for City before. I think it's 2 or 3 seasons ago. And he played decently, to be honest. And he just found no way to pass Aguero. And I think he should be motivated. And it could be a very nice play here. He's in strong shape, really, really strong shape. He's got a lot of goals in the last games. He's fresh. And yeah, he should be very motivated against his ex-team. Arsenal against Liverpool, obviously a game you want to watch in TV, but for fantasy purposes, it seems a little odd to me. It's quite difficult to pick players from this game. I think Salah is obviously a player who will be targeted a lot. Sadio Mane will be targeted a lot, and I think in the forward position, Diogo Jota should be targeted a lot. Jota is probably the player who's best in shape of these three. He managed to score 3 goals in the international break for Portugal. And yeah, I think even though he came back just from an injury, he's probably the best pick regarding his budget as well. Obviously, he gets a point less for a goal than Mane or Salah. And if I would go for a Liverpool player, I think it will be Jota. And yeah, I think if you will link him up with both others, it's fine. But just with Mane or just with Salah will be fine stack as well. If I go Liverpool, I think I don't want to play triple stack. I will just play a dual stack. Yeah, you should definitely be aware that most likely team to win on Fanteam is a team which gets the teams right for winning, for getting the extra point for the win. And you should probably mostly use 4 to 5 teams total. And if you choose a 2-stack team, you obviously have just 3 teams with 3 players left to choose from if you want to stay with 4, if you don't want to go to 5 teams. So just playing 2 will limit you in other ways, but I think it could be worth a shot. Yeah, I'm not quite convinced on the Arsenal side. Arsenal has line movement for Arsenal. Liverpool has still 43% chance to win, but odds are moving in the shape of Arsenal. And it could be that Saka is expected back. He has some individual training. We're not quite sure he will be starting. If there will be news, he won't. I'm more likely to go to the Liverpool side, but I'm not convinced here. And I don't think it's the best game to choose your players from, because it will be a game which will be pretty popular because it's just nice to watch this game in TV. But fantasy-wise, Arsenal has a strong defense. And even though Liverpool didn't look too solid, Arsenal has a lot of players who can score. For example, Saka, Pepe, Smith Rowe, Odegaard can score, and Aubameyang, Lacazette. So it's not that quite condensed on the Arsenal side. Therefore, Liverpool is a lot better. But Liverpool seems out of shape, so probably just play Jota and someone of Mane or Salah. Not quite sure there. But if you play more teams, you definitely can go this road. On the defense side, I will be honest, I won't pick anyone there. But just to tell you the clean sheet chances of those, Liverpool has a clean sheet chance of 29%, and Arsenal is at 22%. But for their prices, I think you will get better value on other teams. And if we look at Liverpool, they are like around 8 million. The two defenders you want to play, for example, Robertson and Trent. But I think this won't be worse to me, so I will skip that in defense at least. Southampton, Burnley, yeah, it's kind of different there. I think both teams have decent value in clean sheets and for the defender positions and goalkeeper positions. Obviously, Vestergaard has a lot of upside and he links up awesomely with James Ward-Prowse. But James Ward-Prowse could lose some value because he will be losing penalties to Danny Ings, I guess. So if Ings will be starting, he will take penalties, and that cuts into James Ward-Prowse production. So I'm not either. Yeah, I don't think I will go this triple stack here. If I will play James Ward-Prowse, I probably will play him with two defenders or one goalkeeper and defender. And interestingly here, I will be going for McCarthy, even though I know it's more likely that Fraser Foster will start. But looking on this kind here, is if McCarthy starts and you choose Foster, you don't get a safety net replacement. And the 100,000, I will be on the safe side and choose obviously Foster over McCarthy there. But not knowing this, I will choose McCarthy. And I think this will be a nice stack. If I go without James Ward-Prowse, I think there are decent plays as well on the Southampton side. I would go Minamino, which I think is probably the most talented player on the whole roster, but he's on a loan from Liverpool, so I'm not quite sure how he will be integrated in the lineup. And he will link up pretty well with Danny Ings, and if I play a defender, it should be Ryan Bertrand or Kyle Walker-Peters. I will go with the cheaper one here. I think this is a nice stack and a pretty good triple stack as well. So you could do that, or you can play it with the goalkeeper if you play other upside defenders. But this will be a popular stack. Southampton has clean sheet chances of 38%. But you see, Ryan Bertrand costs the same as Robertson or Trent almost. So he has like 9% more, is more likely to play to null than those, but costs the same, which is insane. So obviously I would prefer him just from the odds side. But I think even on Burnley's side, it's very interesting to go with those players because they are pretty cheap. And obviously, if I go to Burnley, I will most likely target in the defense Nick Pope. He's a great keeper, think very high of him, and he has a lot of saves usually. Southampton is a team which kind of struggles scoring goals as well, so he could be a pretty nice pick. And yeah, if I knew Charlie Taylor would start, I would pick him probably, but not being sure about that and choosing Eric Peters is risky because you don't get a safety net replacement. So I would probably go with Tarkowski, who has decent upside as a center back with standards from corners and something like that. So you can link him up with Westwood or McNeil. I think this will be the standard line if you play two defenders because you want to have the extra point for the clean sheet in the midfield as well. Both players, McNeil and Westwood, usually play 90 minutes, which gives them another point, which is nice. But you don't have to do that. You can go to Chris Wood, who should be taking penalties as well. And it's not the cleanest stack, but I still think it's viable. And I will definitely have exposure to both teams, probably playing 20 to 30 teams here. And I will have a decent amount Burnley defense, and I will have a decent amount Southampton defense. I'm not wondering if this game goes 0-0. So it doesn't mean my teams will be killed even if I match against them. Newcastle versus Spurs. Okay, so probably Spurs a high favorite if we look to the odds sheet. Spurs has 61% to win, and Harry Kane is the most likely scorer at this slate. So he has 52%, which is still kind of low to me. And for his price, it's pretty strong, 13 million. Obviously, same with Bamford before. If you choose Kane, he should be at least a decent amount your captain, because you will probably still need more than one goal of him. And if you want to link him up, obviously it's Gareth Bale, who is in great shape. Even in the national break he shows with Wales, he's still very, very good. What I dislike with him is that he almost never play 90 minutes, and so you don't get the extra point for that. But Spurs have decent clean sheet chances. They have 44% around, so this is nice. And you can play the triple stack with Reguilón. I really love the combination between Reguilón and Kane. He is like crossing a lot, and Kane is obviously with crosses very good. Bale as well, so it's probably after the lead stack my best triple stack for the tournament. But I expect it to be high owned as well, so that will be the downside of that. So if you choose this triple stack, you won't be the only one who plays this. But I really like it, and I think I will play it a decent amount. If you want to go to the completely other side, you can go with Newcastle. Newcastle, yeah, obviously they don't have too high chances of winning that game. It's 17%, and that's their chance of a clean sheet as well. And if I go to Newcastle, I don't want to only go there if they win, because I think just a 0-0 will be fine for me. But to achieve that, Dubravka will need a lot of saves, so he will obviously be then my chosen goalkeeper. Lascelles is pretty nice as well, because he has some upside with goals. I think in the last 5 games he managed to score 2 goals, and the best player to link up with them would be Ryan Fraser then. He has corners if he plays, and I think the correlation of Fraser to Lascelles should be pretty nice. And they link up nicely. And it's from the game theory aspect here, it's pretty nice too, because Tottenham will at least shot a decent amount, and Dubravka should be able to rack up some saves. So I think this will be a pretty neat stack. And obviously, if you do that, you will have a lot of budget to spend on other places. So you can probably choose the Leeds attack and City attack, and still be comfortable with your budget. So this is pretty nice combination, I guess. Villa versus Fulham is our next game. Villa is a favorite. They have like 43% to win and 36% clean sheet. And most importantly, they have Jack Grealish back. Villa with Grealish is just a different team. And Grealish is obviously very important for them. Is a great scorer, as you can see with his points here. He links up pretty well with attacking assets like Watkins, and he links up decently with defensive assets like Mings. So Mings has a good amount of shots in the box after corners, so he will be a good correlated link-up partner for Grealish. My favorite here would be Houseb, but I don't expect him to start. But he's probably the best center back scoring-wise, not defending-wise. That's why he don't play. But I think the combination between Grealish and Mings is fine. And if you go with a double defensive stack, my second choice would be Martinez, I guess. He's probably my favorite keeper in the whole league. Probably, yeah, him or Pope. I like them both pretty much. But I think Martinez really convinced me this season, and don't really get why Arsenal let him go. He's just really, really awesome this season. And I think this will be a pretty good stack. Regarding this game, it has a pretty low total, and Fulham has decent clean sheet chances as well. So by going this stack, you don't risk too much if a 0-0 happens. And I think it could be a very nice stack to get points. But Fulham could be a nice, nice team as well for clean sheet. Give me a second. They have 28% clean sheet chance. And if you go there, You once again go with the keeper of the underdog team. That's pretty standard. He will probably save some balls if he's managing playing to nil and having the clean sheet. You want Anderson because he's taking some free kicks. He managed in the last 2 games 1 goal as well. So he has a little upside. It's not too high, to be honest, but we'll take it. And Lookman should be the target player in the midfield. He should be fresh. And I think he's probably the most likely to score in the game with no set piece as well. Penalties is taking Cavallero if he starts. We're not quite sure if Mitrovic will start. He had a great international break. He managed to score a lot of goals. So probably Fulham coach will have seen that and give him another chance. I really like Maya as well. But I think if I go to the defensive side, I will just pick Lookman and be happy with it. Obviously, if you say you're convinced that Fulham will take everything to make a win because they needed to not be relegated, you can even make an attacking stack with Cavallero. And I would probably go still for Maya then, because if he's not starting, you will get Mitrovic. And it's kind of difficult choice to pick Mitrovic and have no safety net replacement. You obviously can do that, because if you do so, Mitrovic will be very low owned, and not a lot of players will pick him. But having a player not on your roster and playing with 10-man a tournament obviously makes you very vulnerable, and I wouldn't recommend doing that. Manchester United versus Brighton is probably one of the most hard games for me to get my impression on. Manchester United is a big favorite. They have 58% to win and 44% clean sheet. But there's line movement in line to Brighton, because they played very well the last games. Obviously, Brighton produced very good stats, but no results. But in the last games, they produced the results. Still, we're beginning with Manchester United. If you choose a triple stack with all positions, you should go for Shaw, Fernandes, and Rashford, I guess. Also, you can choose Cavani. And I have problems with the stack because I think Brighton is really, really not that bad. And I would more lean to the defensive stack of Manchester United, which is pretty easy as well, because you can choose Harry Maguire. Shaw delivered an assist in the international break. Maguire made the 2-1 against Poland, which was a huge goal for England. And Maguire is always the threat in the box. So I really love the combination between Shaw, Maguire, and Fernandes. It's a very clean stack, and they have very good clean sheet chances. So if you decide to go to Manchester United, I guess this will be my favorite stack. On the other side, Brighton, it's kind of difficult because they are so huge underdogs, but still they have 17% to win, and they have 18% clean sheet chances. So the clean sheet chances of them are higher than to win. And they offer some players which you can choose as a one-off as well. Starting there, it would be Leandro Trossard. He managed to score several goals in the international break for his team, for Belgium. And he managed to score some goals and assists for Brighton in the last games. They weren't too satisfied with him before, but now I think he's pretty strong shape, and he should be a good target. And if you choose even to go with a Brighton stack, which I won't do too much, to be honest, but I think it's still viable, I will go with Luis Dunk and probably Sanchez, obviously the underdog goalkeeper. You see a pattern here, but I really like that, and I think it's a good stack if you choose to get expensive forwards from Spurs, for example, and Leeds. So you need to make up for that, and then Brighton should be a pretty nice stack. To the Monday games, which will be Everton against Crystal Palace. Everton in horrible shape. I'm not quite sure what I can say there, but the bookies say they have the best clean sheet chances. So Everton has clean sheet chances of 48%, most in the slate. So they are most likely to play to nil. And then we have to say they have 55% to win. So this is a pretty slow, or not slow margin, but it's not too big, the margin. And I would take a stack here, which is depending on Digne taking set pieces. We're not quite sure if James Rodriguez will be back. If I take Digne, I would link him up with Keane, who is a threat in the box. He's a very good center back who has a very good upside. And I would take Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who had a very good international break, his goal for England as well. And yeah, I just like the stack because I think you don't get the clean sheet point for the midfielder, which you usually want by taking Rodriguez or Sigurdsson. I wouldn't take Sigurdsson because you can not be sure if he really starts, and you don't want to get Iwobi or Doucouré then. So Calvert-Lewin would be the player I would go for. You can take Richarlison, who's taking penalties as well. But with a combination of Digne, I prefer much more Calvert-Lewin because he's very strong header, and I really like the combination between him, Keane, and Digne. I think it's very clean stack and should be probably very effective. But on the other side, Crystal Palace, yeah, they have Wilfried Zaha back, and it's probably you can compare Palace with Zaha to Aston Villa with Grealish. He's really, really important for the team, and the team just plays better with him. And if I would choose to stack them, I would probably go with Zaha, Riedelwald, or Van Arnold. Van Arnold, kind of disappointing this season. Not too convinced of him, but I still would prefer him to Riedelwald. I guess it's pretty close. I don't want to take both because I want to take Guita for sure if I go for Aston Villa defense. Obviously, if you go for another cheap team, you can take Riedelwald and Van Arnold and Zaha and then just play whoever you want because you should have the budget for that. On this side, Crystal Palace has like about 20% chances to win and 24% clean sheet chances, which is pretty decent for their price, to be honest. So they look like a pretty good value regarding Everton's form as well. So I have to be honest, I like the stack, and I think I will play that a decent amount of time. To our last game, and our last game is Wolves versus West Ham. West Ham play a tremendous season, and Wolves games are usually not my dream regarding fantasy games because they have usually a low total. So you can play a lot around with defenders in these kinds of slates with them. But in this game, I like several stacks, to be honest. We start with a defensive stack. Cresswell to Dawson to Souček is probably the best linked stack, which is most clean. Cresswell takes the corners, and Dawson and Souček are probably the both best headers on the team. Antonio is decent as well, but no one matches Souček, and Dawson already... Well, he made a goal in the last week as well, but it was in his own, so I don't think we count that. But he managed to score twice or three times before that, so, and he didn't start the season. We have to take into consideration this as well. So I really love this stack for clean sheets. West Ham has a clean sheet chance of 36%, which is pretty decent, and they have 38% to win. As I already mentioned, Wolves games have low totals, but if you still want to go for a triple stack with a defender, you should choose Cresswell still over Kufal, because his set piece dominance is too much for me to not take into consideration. I would go for Lingard and Antonio then. Really love Jesse Lingard. He absolutely crushes, and I have no idea why Manchester United didn't play him. He looks like a steal to me, and I'm pretty convinced Manchester United won't sell him with these performances. Even Southgate nominated him for the national, and he delivered an assist as well, and I just love seeing him on the pitch. He's so motivated, he runs, and I have the feeling that his level of energy is so high. Obviously, he hasn't a long season in his legs, so he's fresh. And I think you see that, and that's why I like him. And I think he's a good target, and I still think he's underpriced. But we have to take in consideration that Wolves are a pretty passive playing team, and usually there are not too many goals scored against them if the other team is not City. So, yeah, let's take into consideration this. On the Wolves side, my preferred stacks there are pretty standard, I guess. I really love Roman Size. He has so huge upside. Willy Boley has upside as well. They're absolute two bosses in the box of the opponent, play both as center back. Well, Size is usually starting as a defensive midfielder, but he's never doing it for the Wolves. He's always playing center back there. And if you play those both, you definitely have to choose Neto. Neto, yeah, dynamic player. Really love him. I think he's great, and this should be an awesome stack. If you go just for a triple stack, I wouldn't recommend going there with a forward because Willian Jose is not playing the full game usually. He's always being subbed at min 70 to 80. So I would probably lean more to go to Ruben Neves. He has the upside that he gets a clean sheet point as well, and he takes penalties, which is for me the reason why I'm taking or considering him in my stacks. And I think this is a nice clean triple stack here on side of the Wolves if you choose to go with the Wolves. Wolves have clean sheet chances of 32%, which is decent. And if you play a lot of teams, you definitely should consider Wolves as well. So I think we're through with the whole slate. I hope you could enjoy. Just remember, taking game stacks is most important on Fanteam, and I showed you the popular ones. I wish you the best of luck and hope you will be there with me next time. This was Tim for Fanteam. Bye-bye. Enjoy.